Welcome back here, ladies and gentlemen, to the DreamHack Pro Circuit, where we continue our day here of day number 1. The Rocket League action still coming, where Dignitas was able to get a victory over the Peeps. And now we take our first glance at G2, one of North America's favorites, but still without a major title, at least as of late. I am your host, Wade Dreadnought Penfold. Here at the desk, I've got Gibbs, I've got Isaac Turtle App. Boys, what do we think there over closing thoughts over that last series, I guess, here about Dig and the Peeps here, both sides?
It was nice to see offense after the series before where it goes. It's just like there was no offense there, but then everything came out. It was really fun to watch. I think Dignitas, they got to figure out on the defensive side of the ball. The Peeps can come out relatively happy because Dignitas, again, they look like a top team once again, or at least up there. So the Peeps getting a close result is great going into the RLCS, but they're still alive here as well. So hopefully they make day 2 and we see them again.
I mean, we got thrown under the bus by the casters for only talking about Astral, but I mean, he was the deciding factor of that last goal. He was the one who made improvements. And I think that as long as he can continue to go upwards on that hill of trying to fit in with the team, stop going for, solo plays too much. And he seemed like he was so much more infield focused. I love seeing that, and I want to see more of it coming from Dignitas so they cannot keep it so close this time.
Yeah, I can't but feel like at least the old Dignitas philosophy of so much teamwork, infield passing, and things like if that same teamwork comes through the independent skill that we get out of the later versions of Dignitas, that they're going to be a very scary, as you guys in the past have put it, 3-headed beast.
Yeah, they got 3rd place at Beyond the Summit, and it looks like they are a top 4 team again in Europe, and we'll have to see. Obviously, we'll see for the rest of this DreamHack. I really want to see them versus that European competition. Like I was saying earlier, normally we love international play, but I'm starting to see, I want to see these regions battle it out. We haven't seen it yet.
So, keeping the conversation about top 4s, but on the other side of the pond here, I want to talk about G2, because I think that they are a very interesting roster when looking at some of their success overall when looking at RLCS, but then also taking a glance at what we get with the results coming at DreamHack. It just feels like inconsistency for a team that we know is one of the best in North America. So what's going on here?
Yeah, it's weird, because again, we talked about it, that Rocket League, right now, we're in a state of parity where we've had 7 different winners over 7 lands. You would expect G2 to win one of those, right? Because there's only so many great teams, and right now it's a lot of them are from Europe. There's 5 of them there, and then there's 2 from North America with Cloud9 and NRG. But again, G2 is always in that conversation with those guys. They just can't seem to find that win. Now at the World Championship, everyone was saying when they screamed them that G2 looked like the best team in the world, but they fell short to a Vitality that looked great on day 3, and that's KDOP obviously. But G2, they are the best offense in the world when they're on the opposite side, right? When they get all that pressure. We saw it when they played PSG back at the World Championship, where they got 17 shots per game. It's insane. The problem is when it crosses that midfield line, then you're like, uh-oh, now they got to play defense, and then it gets a little scary.
And it's the play style of G2 is so throw everything forward mentality. So basically, they want everybody up on the field. They don't care if it means the last man back is throwing themselves in, because a lot of times, even Rizzo said himself that they always have one person back against maybe 2 or 3 enemies trying to come at them. And normally they do good, but most of the time, especially against a team like Vitality in the finals, they're going to find a way to capitalize on that. And that's what makes this G2 play style so inconsistent. But whenever they are on offense, they're so deadly. And in this off season, they've been kind of similar to Vitality. They've been kind of just under the radar, not really close to the top right now. I mean, at the last 2 DreamHacks, they haven't even made playoffs. So it's hard to tell where they are right now.
It is so frustrating for a G2 fan, because at the World Championship, they beat Vitality on day 2, then they lose to them on day 3. Then at Beyond the Summit, they win their groups, and then they just fall 0-2 and finish 5th. So it's like they have it for part of the weekend, but then they just fall short when it comes down to the final day. It's like completely opposite of what KDOP and Vitality does, where they step up on day 3. So they got to find a way to step up when it matters most.
Yeah, and trust me, I know that tale very deeply. As a Chicago fan, I've experienced this roller coaster. I'm a part of it with each and every one of you at home, all right? So, no, it's been very surprising. And that's why I wanted to hear some of these thoughts, because, again, keeping track of them and knowing the skill, but that it's not missing from this roster. So it's very much like, why do we see that? Where does that come from? And now I think it's important to take a glance at the mix-up on the other side here, and that is within Plot Twist, a very interesting roster. And to be completely honest, the only one that I had known going into this tournament is that of Corrupted G from OBG.
Well, we got Mektos and Taroko, and they are Rival Series veterans. They came in 3rd place. They just barely missed out on the promotion tournament by 4-game differential. So they are definitely a contender to make it back. Now they bring in Corrupted G, who we just talked about how G2 only made 1 quarterfinal. Well, Corrupted G at the last 2 DreamHacks, top 4 and top 8. So he's been showing up when that matters. He obviously got relegated down, but he's joining Plot Twist for this upcoming season, and they are heavy favorites to do well throughout the rival series. The problem is they were like at WGN, they were favorites there, and they came in 5th.
Yeah.
So they didn't look great like in their first big result, so they want to do it here.
I mean, Corrupted G to me just seems like such a hungry player right now, especially after, you know, getting unfortunately taken out of RLCS, then having to climb his way back. But he lands on a perfect team, pretty much the favorites coming out of the rival series here with the dynamic duo. And Corrupted G is just going to add so much experience. And also, it seems like he has been, at least at DreamHack, a land boy.
Yeah, so let's not forget that this is the upper final, too, of this group. They took down Barcelona. They took down FC Barcelona plot twist. So it's not like they went through some no-name team. They took down one of the best from Europe. So they're looking strong so far.
Yeah, and they're going to have to be able to keep it up, especially with the other side here, as we've talked about. Though they may not walk away with the championship, they are very clearly at the top of at least North America, and probably when talking about an international top 10, top 5 even.
Sure, they have shown it before that, you know, they're probably in the top 5 conversation until it's day 3.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, maybe they're like top 20.
Once the counterattacks just hit in, that's when G2 starts fumbling. And it's about what kind of team play you're going up against. You know, G2, I feel like they're so consistent. So that's why I'm a little bit shaky right now for Plot Twist, because they're going up against a team who maybe their counterattacks are not all that. And that's where G2 will thrive, because they can leave somebody on the backfield against 3 players and have comfortability.
Yeah, so I want to say that if G2 is playing a team that's in the rival series or a little bit below, that they should dominate all these teams by the way they're playing now, where it is all midfield control and it's so hard to get the ball out when you have no boost.
Yeah.
And teams that are really good at that, they're in the RLCS. So the other teams should beat them, but every time I say this about G2, then somehow they lose. So
I'm glad you put that asterisk
Don't guess
there.
G2.
That's where I was about to be like, you know, insert whatever outlier circumstance. Do I raise the alarms in the opposite direction for G2 if they're able to get that kind of pressure?
Yeah.
But either way, I think it's going to be telling here. Again, G2 is going to be expected to some extent, but whether or not they are as dominant as they should be is really what I'm looking for here for this roster, and that solid cohesion that we normally expect.
The one thing I love is that throughout the season 7 of RLCS, like, I was a hater on them. Like, sure, they finished 6-1 and they got the wins that they're supposed to get, but it was like, this is not going to work versus the best teams. But they changed their playstyle completely. Back then, it was Rizzo playing super far back, and it was just like a 2-man offense. And sure, that worked against, again, the lower teams, but you're not going to win a championship that way. But they completely changed how they play now, and they're so offensive heavy that I do like this. It's just they have to figure out when they do get beat, when it is in that midfield, how do they adjust to it?
And that's the thing, that play style is so entertaining to watch, because you never know where the ball is going to be fed. And most of the time it's in field, but then that creates so much opportunity because you have corners, you have space, you have dribbling, like Shaw said. It creates so many options on the field, and defending that is the hard part. But I just don't think it's going to be enough if you're Plot Twist. I mean, how much can Gabe add to this roster, especially with that WGN performance? I'm a little bit scared right now.
Well, with that, you have to give an actual answer on how much you think they're going to be able to add there for Corrupted Gabe here. First, we'll give it to Gibbs. Gibbs, what do you think here? Plot Twist, yay or nay?
I'm going G2. I'm going 3-0, and I think one of the games they're going to hit 20 shots somehow. Because that's what
20
G2,
shots.
Yeah, 20 shots, not 40. 40 is a little much. Come on, sir. 20 shots. G2's offense is just unrelenting, and I feel like it's going to be very hard for Plot Twist to get out of their own half. Of course, again, I'm saying this, sorry G2 fans, that it will be a 3-0, so very likely G2 will just fall apart, but I'm going G2.
I definitely think G2 is shaky against maybe a top-tier team because their play style is so on or off, hit or miss. Defense is so hard with their play style, but it's not going to be shaky against a lower level team. They're not going to be able to transition out of their backfield, and that's where they're going to have a problem. They're going to get suffocated. The boost starvation from JNAPS in Chicago is going to come through. G2 are going to take it.
I think it's pretty hard to go the other way. I admitted, honestly, that I hadn't even heard of 2 of the players on the side of Plot
But
Twist.
you were doubting Chicago earlier.
I am a little bit.
Mr.
I'll be
Wade
honest.
Dreadnought.
I will be. Chicago stays still in my heart, but let's be real here. With the results and some of the performance moments here from this roster, it just wasn't as clean of an upward trend that I expected out of this young man. But that being said, still got a bunch of potential, and I believe that this roster very much could.
And the most important thing is it's day 1. It's not day 3. So this G2, day 1 G2 is great. So I expect them to come out.
But now that you said that, every time you say that and you have confidence in G2,
I'm sorry, G2
it
fans.
goes downhill.
But at some point, you got to blame your team and not me who's picking against them. That's all I'm saying.
Or they've been right all along, and everybody, humors the parody of Rocket League, but the irony behind it all is Gibbs is actually causing it through just his suggestions.
Gibbs is writing the script.
He is truly the manipulator.
Taking revenge because of River Rats.
Puppet master would put him best here.
Don't steal my secrets, please. Don't voice them out to the world, please.
Well, you got a couple of guys who are going to voice some things out into the world here is going to be the two men bringing this commentary, bringing you the commentary for our next series. So we're going to send you over to Johnny Boy and Shogun. Jeez.
Got there.
You got there eventually.
Yeah.
It was an arduous trek.
It was.
All journeys must start with a single step.
True.
And Dread actually brought up an interesting point there, which is there's 4 players on this field that everybody knows. We've got all of the G2. Those of you who've been sticking around for us a while on the Rocket League scene, everyone knows who Corrected G is. However, Taroka and Mektos, some people might not be quite as familiar with them. Thankfully, we've got someone here who has a little bit more familiarity with those names.
Yeah, definitely more, probably more familiar than most just because they are 1v1 players.
Well,
they used to be. Right now, I wouldn't call them 1v1 players because that's going to make people think that they're going to be awful at rotation, as is often the assumption. But that's far from the case. The synergy that I saw from these guys earlier in the matchup against Barcelona on the B stream was really very impressive. They had some dominant wins against FC Barcelona.
7-1 in game 1.
7-1, 3-0 in game 5. There's some very impressive wins, and the way they were, going about those wins, it wasn't like Barcelona were playing awfully, especially in the last game, 3-0. 7-1, yeah, there were some bad plays from Barcelona. You don't win 7-1 or lose 7-1 without playing a little bit rusty. But I think the Plot Twist played really well. This is going to be far from an easy match for G2. I think it's wrong to predict Plot Twist to win this. G2 are definitely the heavy favorite, but Plot Twist have got some nasty ground plays. And if there's one way to get G2 back into their own half, it could be with dribbling. And I wouldn't be surprised if Plot Twist favor that, especially coming out of Mektos and Taroko.
Plot Twist have an opportunity to pull off a major upset here on day 1 that has had a few of them so far. Nothing overly crazy though just yet. It's going to be popped up to Chicago. That is an absolutely unreal goal.
Well played, Chicago. There's quite a lot of work to be done. JNAP's lobbing it up, and Chicago spiraling into this. Again, not for style. No, he's trying to get the fastest, most efficient route to the ball and also air roll into the shot for extra power. Brilliant stuff from G2.
There we go, 1-0 to G2, and it didn't take much time at all. Plot Twist was to bear witness to the offensive power that G2 brings. Now Chicago pops into the far side of the field. There's going to be nobody following up for the team. Sort of taking the foot off the gas a little bit after scoring their first goal, but so far, Plot Twist struggling to find a way out of their own side of the field. Finally, getting it across that line.
And this is fine actually for Plot Twist because G2 are being baited forward. They're being drawn in, and there is likely to be chances. There it is. For Plot Twist off the post, it's off the bar. And that's exactly what they want. They want to bring G2 in to challenge them. And then, after 50-50s go in their favor, they can look to attack.
JNAPS takes his time. He's got no option. He's on 0 boost. Plot Twist forced to put 2 players forward, though, and Rizzo defending the backboard. Certainly an area he's got much better at working with over the last year. It's a point of major criticism for the longest time. It's going to be a shot on target. Mektos pops the ball to the far side of the field. Low infield to Chicago.
Nice.
He's got his second.
Wow.
G2 looking smooth across this field right now.
It's a great first hit on the pass here from JNAPS because he's winding it up like it could be a shot. And that's what I've been saying all day. It's so valuable to have players who know how to disguise their intentions. And JNAPS not really giving anything away there. Next thing the Plot Twist know, the ball's in the back of their net.
Rizzo. The far corner. Plot Twist have not had an opportunity to create anything just yet. It's Corrupted G. Couldn't quite follow up, and when you do look at the sort of play styles that we're working with here, Plot Twist, you do sort of wonder where are the opportunities going to be created. Corrupted G, typically a 1 or 2 touch style player. And that's going to be going straight into the top corner. Someone who isn't named Chicago decides to get himself on the scoreboard. G2, they just look like another level right now. They are a whole other class.
Yeah, it looked like Chicago was putting a little bit of pressure onto Corrupted G, who was waiting on the goal line there, but the shot was just too good. Well played to G2 again. They are, really being rewarded for their own hard work. None of these goals have been easy to stop for Plot Twist. They will have to step things up a bit if they're going to have any chance in this matchup. G2 wants to get rolling, one of the more difficult teams to slow down.
Well, whenever you play G2, it seems like they consider the idea of a boost pad being on the field for more than a second a personal insult.
It is gone.
How dare it?
Pass attempted there from Mektos, but hit a bit too far forward. Corrupt to G couldn't reach it. G2's passes, on the other hand, have been nothing short of precise. That's been one of the differences between these teams. It's a great double touch by Mektos, actually on target. Easy enough for G2 to save. Rizzo will fly backwards into a challenge. G2 right now, if you want to see them going deep in this tournament, you are looking for a 3-0 here, because I said at the start, it's not an easy team to beat Plot Twist. They've already beaten Barcelona at this event. They are, you know, a confirmed rival Series NA team for next season. They didn't just get there by a fluke. No, they've almost made it into the RLCS playoffs last season as well. They've got plenty of experience, but G2, if they can dominate this matchup, that would be such a good sign from them, for them moving further in the tournament against the real competition, at least you'd consider the real competition.
And such a narrative change for G2, to the point that a couple of years ago, everyone was annoyed how often G2 have been talked of as this inconsistent top 3 team over in North America, but you look at them these days, couldn't be further from the truth anymore. G2 are a stifling presence on this field right now.
It's looking confident, very, very confident from G2. And if they can all continue to hit the ball as consistently as they are, they're all going to be a huge threat. And that's such an important part of Rocket League these days. Oh, Mekto's actually backing out of the rule number 2 there from with Rizzo.
You've just called. I know you didn't mean to do it, but there's already people who are upset with you over that.
Oh no, that was absolutely intentional, but also accurate.
You could have gone either way on that, to be honest.
Oh, everybody coming forward for G2 all at once, and the ball will slow roll into the net. 4-0, game 1, really quite one-sided in the end. And we've seen this from G2 in the past, even against teams like, it was PSG at the time, now of course, Reciprocity. You know, we've seen them dominate in that matchup early on and then kind of fade at the end of a series. So they can't lose focus. G2 want to stay at this level for the entire series, make sure that they're playing top form start to finish.
Well, there's the hat-trick for Chicago.
What a beautiful goal it was as well. He's going to remember this one for years to come.
It's not helped by the goal explosion, I'm going to be honest. It sort of didn't help earlier on with the really nice opening goal that he did score. You expect explosions, you expect fireworks.
Yeah, I like it. That's a pretty good impression as well. I'll give you that. But yeah, Plot Twists have not been able to prevent G2.
I'm really annoyed right now, Johnny, that the only good impression I can do in this world is on a bubble.
So, got a poof explosion, just a disappearing ball.
Well, very confident opening game for G2. Never looked at all in danger from the opening minute. Bell to bell, they were thoroughly in control. For Plot Twist, you can't even look at them and say they played bad. They just didn't get a chance to play.
Well, G2 were just too good with their passing. First 2 goals in this game. Brilliant passes, brilliant finishing. And if Plot Twists aren't reading those, if they're not getting into position preemptively, it won't matter if they've got the speed, because G2 are already going to be going just as fast, but from a better place. And they're going to get to the ball first. This is the opening goal. It's a lob pass coming in towards Chicago. He did not waste any time getting up for that one. Corrupt to G was almost there, but almost isn't good enough. Just a lot of G2 support out in the crowd, of course, with a team of popular players such as they are. Gonna get plenty of cheering, I'm sure.
They're a team that I don't believe I've ever heard a crowd go against them. London, probably the loudest chant I heard for them that weekend when we went over to DreamHack over in Leipzig. Huge European presence in general, and then obviously when you come over to North America, they certainly get plenty of support. So G2, worldwide fan base for them. And Plot Twist looking to make a worldwide shocker. They need to try and get something going. And for Mektos,
wow,
what a statement that is.
How on earth has Zach been saved so effortlessly as well? That was such a good shot by Mektos with the flip reset on the ceiling, just to get back into position and hit the shot even faster. You know, you're asking earlier where the goal is going to come from for Plot Twist. Well, solo plays from Mektos to Rocco could easily be a thing. Like Corrupted G's the player on the team who's definitely got the IQ for Rocket League. There is a passing play, Mektos to Taroko.
Yeah, Mektos has been very solid so far when it comes to speed. JNAP's just pulled himself out of position, really.
Prioritizing the demo there rather than the ball. Getting a little bit carried away there.
The eyes only saw red.
He was on the hunt. I don't blame him. You know, it's an addictive thing to just go for as many demos as possible to try and trigger your opponent as much as you can. There's nothing more satisfying than in a ranked game knowing that you've made somebody that you can't see or hear extremely mad. Shogun knows all about that. I believe that is your only goal when you're playing Rocket League.
What? Make people mad?
To infuriate people. As many people as possible.
Typically, my favorite target is me. Rizzo's favorite target apparently seems to be the goal.
It's a couple of goals of quick balls that have just bounced into the middle, and the last man back for both teams not prepared for the ball to be struck as early as it was. Rizzo this time applying the finishing touch. G2 continue to look extremely clinical in front of net.
Going to be over to Chicago. Bounces up into the wall as Chicago attempts to follow up his own touch. And everyone sort of just flailing right past that ball. And G2 evening us up at 1 goal apiece. Lovely challenge there from Corrupted G. I don't know how much of it he knew about, but going to try and create something here. The only issue I have right now for Plot Twist is that it seems their options are limited usually. This is a little bit better. But you see a player go downfield and you're thinking, okay, what can he really do with it? There's no one around to pass to, and that means G2 sort of become very aware of what the route is going to be. And that makes defending whoever the player is much easier.
G2 far better at positioning for passes. You know, I think the most underrated element of team play in the highest level of Rocket League is off the ball. What are your teammates doing off the ball to try and prepare for passes to be sent at them? Like Rizzo there, he's over on the right-hand side of the field, or I suppose it would be left from G2's perspective, but he's in so much space, and he's got also room in front of him to move forward and attack the ball. It makes him so easy to pass to, and you can say that about every member of G2.
There's a lot of trust in one another on this G2 team. One of the rosters and orgs that makes the least changes of everyone. It's very rare that you ever hear about a G2 roster change, and that just allows so much chemistry to be built up.
Rip Kronovi.
He's doing just fine for himself lately.
He certainly is. Kronovi already advanced into day number 2 with Rogue. It's a great recovery by Corrupted G, but he's not had the best clear. Mektos able to make contact, but it's bounced off the bar. Plot Twist for all of their defending. Still holding on to this game, but for how long? Chicago almost puts G2 in front. Save for Plot Twist to keep it level. The G2 are getting so many opportunities. How many shots can Plot Twist save?
The problem is when we get into those much more frantic defensive situations, Plot Twist don't have people in the right position. This is a good example of it. 2 players committed, and how has this not gone in? Finally, JNAP's able to get it past the line. But just take a look at the defensive positioning here.
It's so difficult to read what G2 are doing. The first little infield pass there from JNAP's, you really expect him to be shooting. And I feel like I've said this all day, but I'm so impressed with the way that G2 are disguising their passes. It puts the entire enemy team on the wrong foot, and they're all turning the wrong way, having to lose all their momentum, use a lot of boost just to get back into position. But take notes, if you're wanting to improve your passing game, G2 are one of the best teams to watch for that right now in Pro Rocket League, maybe even the best.
Certainly is one of the best passing teams we've seen since the original Dignitas that dominated for so very long. Chicago tries to put on the fast side, but Taroko just keeps it out of the back of the net. Still with just over a minute left here. Plot Twist need to scramble this ball out their own side of the field because they've been stuck here for a while. They need a goal. They need it soon.
Yeah, looking a bit timid right now, Plot Twist. I expected them to bring the game more to G2. Be attacking, trying to...
I mean, they just never have any boost for it, though.
Yeah, they try to force anything, I guess, but G2 have been just better in every aspect of the game, and they've played fantastically well. It's going to be another goal. JNAP's getting on the right side of it. And Plot Twist once again just doesn't look like there's too much you can do against this. There's even someone, CorruptedG's got a couple touches on it, but what can you do against a hitbox like that?
Yeah, another disguised passing play. Rizzo looks like he's going to blast off the backboard. Instead, rotates the car at the very last moment, puts it as far up the ceiling as he possibly can, and it drops right into the danger area. G2 have just been, well, illusionists for the most part throughout this series. And there's going to be number 4. I feel like almost a flattering scoreline. Plot Twist deserve a little bit better here, I reckon.
And this was just, too slow from Plot Twist. So you have to see it coming at this point. Like, we're praising G2's passing, and I think rightfully so. But Plot Twist should identify now, well, every single goal we're conceding is led up, or in the lead up to it, there's some sort of infield pass almost every time.
Have a look at, oh, this is going to be number 5. Have a look at who's got the ball. Have a look at who's around the ball. Figure out what that line is.
Yeah, probably want to make a move off the ball like G2 are. I mean, at this point, it doesn't matter. Plot Twist have completely been outclassed. But we saw this, we saw a 2-game comeback from the Peeps earlier against Dignitas, so it wouldn't be the first time today that we've seen a lower seed fighting back and making a seemingly one-sided series actually end up pretty close. They've got to step up the confidence. They've got to step up the speed. There's been too much hesitation and way too much hesitation from Plot Twist, way too much space for G2 to utilize. Make it 6-1. They're just padding the stats at the end of the game.
I'm feeling like this is just a shootout now between the G2 players. I'm not overly sure what JNAPS and Chicago are currently on for goals per game. It's quite high.
I've lost count a while ago.
All I know is Chicago got a hat-trick in game 1. I don't know what... There was a lot of goals in like a very short period of time in this game.
Yeah, this is very important. Obviously, we've mentioned before, getting the 2 wins or just going through the upper bracket day 1 without losing will give you a better match as you go into, or better matchup to start off day number 2. And in G2's case, since they are actually, this is the last upper bracket matchup that we have for the day, should they win this, they're avoiding a Group B start tomorrow against Rhino Vitality. So I think that's something they probably want to be doing for now.
Yeah.
But they would still be on a collision course in the winners finals tomorrow for Group B. Should G2 be able to close this out? Very much looks like they will. Somebody give Chicago a fist bump here. It's just...
Chicago seemingly was the... oh, no, it was JNAPS on the far side who seemed to be ignoring.
Now, Chicago gave Rizzo the fist bump, and I think he was expecting one from Jazzo. And Jazzo
was looking towards JNAPS.
He's on his coaching stage debut, and he's really dropped the ball there. He didn't fist bump Chicago.
Like, as good as the in-game game players be, I'm rating this performance a C.
And Chicago's just absolutely...
C4 can't synchronize the fist bumps.
Devastating. It's absolutely devastating. I mean, somebody please go and give Chicago a fist bump right now. Actually, don't, because I think the stage admin will be pretty upset about you walking on stage. So don't actually do that. But
I think
later on, if you see him and he's just hanging out, yeah, go give him that.
He'll be comforted by the mountain of goals that he has scored throughout this game. Game number 3, Plot Twist. They looked good for a long period of time in the previous game, but it just sort of completely fell apart on them in the last minute. Is there anything left? Have they got any answer to G2? Well, this is certainly going to be one way.
There you go.
Just about sneaks in. And Mektos has put Plot Twist in the lead, but here's my problem here, Johnny. I almost feel like an early goal is going to invite Plot Twist to be defensive.
It's possible, yeah.
I don't want to see that right now. I want to see whatever. I want them to almost pretend it's 0-0 and just go hunting for a second one.
Yeah, let's see what they do. I mean, that was definitely a little bit of a stretch from JNAPS. Not the best challenge angle to be taking, and he does get punished. It's not a bad read by Chicago, though, and it's 1-0 already. Where is the defense for Plot Twist? CorruptedG and Taroko are no more than spectators in this play. Someone has got to hit that ball before it drops down underneath the bar height, and nobody's ready to do it.
G2 have hit that arc that just drops it straight down so many times this series that something seems to be something that they've been practicing. But for Plot Twist, you know, like I said, you've seen it so many times. You need to be putting somebody on the backboard at this point. I think it's the easiest way you can react to it.
They just want to step up their game right now. You don't want to, if you're Plot Twist, you really don't want to just get dominated here in the winners finals. Because right after this, the loser of this match will be playing against RBG. We saw earlier on stream taking Ghost to Game 5. And that would be for their tournament life. So you want to at least do something in this matchup. You feel confident going into your last life of the day. Guaranteed the day 2 run. I think a lot of people, after seeing Plot Twist beat Barcelona, they were expecting, well, I mean, if Plot Twist don't beat G2, surely they'll be fine anyway. But this will be worrying for all the Plot Twist fans out there. All the local fans. They do, of course, have 2 Canadians on their team. Don't know if any other teams who have advanced have that many Canadians on the lineup. So these are the team the local fans are probably going to be rooting for at the moment.
We already know the North American Rocket League team composition is always 2 Americans, 1 Canadian. Every single team, and what a shot that was, an even better save to hold it out. Plot Twist still keeping us up at 1 each. Another long clear. A lot of Plot Twist goals have actually come from their own side of the field. G2 have been more than happy to push up, and it is a risk that G2 do take with this very heavily offensive style of gameplay.
I mean, you've seen other teams be successful against G2 recently by just letting G2 come at them, and the key is not clearing the ball badly. If you clear the ball badly against G2, you're gonna have a really bad time. You're probably just gonna lose in a comfortable fashion.
It definitely seems like there is difficulty creating quality opportunities to remove the ball from their side of the field. Chicago, the drop down to JNaps. Just all very panicky on the side of Plot Twist. You'd never... I bring back the Chiefs, as I mentioned earlier on, a team that were constantly utilizing passing plays to get rid of it. That's going to be just on target. Sneaks in on the far post.
And look at that off the ball. Sneaky little demo coming in from Rizzo, who does love to be on the hunt for demos as much as possible. But this time he got an assist as well, so he's being notified by the game that he helped, just in case he wasn't already aware. Plot Twist still have to come back from behind. They weren't able to do it in the last game. You know, if I had to make a prediction right now, don't expect them to do it this game either. G2 have been fantastic.
Rizzo, once again, putting the ball high. Once again, looking for that arc on the top of the ceiling. It's just been something that they've realized that Plot Twist don't know how to deal with. JNaps chasing down. Third goal for G2 might just end this series. Mektos doesn't do a great job. Infield pass, not as far as Taroka, and now it's 2v1 at the back. JNaps is by himself. And just the height on that is going to completely kill the pace of the game. G2 are back. G2 have got possession of the ball once again.
This is why G2 can afford to play so high up the field. They're really good at, you know, chasing a ball down. JNaps there has to make a run back and then a difficult aerial touch. There's only a few places you can put that ball that won't be easily followed up by the opposition, but JNaps is so good at that, and the rest of G2 as well. But they can afford to sit aggressively upfield. The tracking back is always so effective for them.
Go to the far corner. Chicago settles for boost, and that is a nice pass.
I think that sums up the series pretty well. Plot Twist struggling so much to clear the ball that they've actually just assisted G2. JNaps will take those every day of the week. Yeah, Plot Twist are really not getting anything going here. Now, I'm a little bit worried about their lower bracket matchup against RBG. Before, I was thinking, well, Plot Twist, they look great against Barca, so surely even if they lose to G2, they're going to make it to day 2 anyway. But after seeing this, you're got to be a little bit more worried for them, because this has not been promising from pretty much any angle. I can't think of anything that they could take into the next game.
The best angle I can think of is they've scored a lot of their shots.
Yeah, I think maybe had 4 shots, 4 goals or something. 3 shots, 3 goals. They just haven't had the ability to read what G2 are trying to do.
They've now got 30 seconds to try and find one more. That might be about to change. And Mektos able to keep his team alive just for the time being. But it's very, very chaotic attempt to escape down to the other side of the field. JNaps to try and finish it off. It's going to be over to Rizzo. And in an opportunity where Plot Twist want all the offense, they've had none of it. 0 boost for Mektos, requires Taroka to try and take over. It's the far side of the field. There's no way of catching that. That's going to hit the floor. G2 move on, and they move on comfortably.
Just a clinic on offensive passing and clearing the ball with maximum efficiency. That's what G2 have done here. We rarely saw plot twists in offense at all. Because every time they do get the ball forward, G2 just hit it once and it's back in the plot twist end. And then G2 all move up together and they intercept the clears, they get the ball back, score so easily. I mean, this was just textbook G2. Especially what we've seen from them recently. They're looking good. Can they keep it up for all 3 days though? Because this is very much how they started Beyond the Summit just last month. And of course, day 3 for that event was not so successful. But we'll be back tomorrow to see more of G2. After this short break, we'll be interviewing one of them. So don't go anywhere. We'll see you right after these ads.